something weird happened and all the tread disappeared on it. Added a 1-inch spacer, so the 7-inch wide rim was out just a little bit more. It was more flush to how the back one is. So to add the new and exciting stuff, I just from flipping up and down the headlights, we managed to just touch the plastic, and it's so brittle on the Tombstone that you can just break it apart. So I ended up scoring another Tombstone off of Marketplace. I'm gonna try to save as much out of this as I can, and all the screws I can. And then also the radio is completely screwed. Like the volume knob, it cuts in and out if you don't hold it the right way. And that speaker doesn't always work. So I'm gonna take the faceplate off of this. I think it's just in the connections, but it might also be in the volume knob. So I might fiddle around with this for a little bit before I put the new Tombstone I have on. I am currently painting the new Tombstone. I'm painting it with bumper paint. Probably gonna paint the center console with bumper paint as well, because it has a UV resistance to it since it sits outside all the time. So I'm gonna start tearing the rest of the center console apart and getting the rest of the, shut that off, but get the rest of this brittle, like it's crazy how brittle it is. This brittle old Tombstone out of here. And then yeah, I'm gonna fix all this, because that's kind of like, I'm not saying I'm getting into the final things of this car or anything, but it would be nice to drive with a radio all the time if I can fix it, and just generally have my Tombstone back, because it looks like total crap. Like every screw, everything broke. So yeah, that's what I'm going to work on today. And then I want to do an oil change on it, because I don't think it's had an oil change in like a year. So you've just been driving it. All the work I did on it, I haven't had an opportunity to change the oil on it yet. So I'm going to try to do that at some point today too, I think. And then I think we're going to go for a drive this afternoon. But yeah, first things first is try to make this look complete again. Well, I don't know if my camera just screwed up a bunch of videos, but long story short, the radio is out. I didn't want to disassemble it outside, so I went ahead and disassembled everything outside. And right now I found that there's connections way back there for the volume controls, but I can't get in there to like try to clean it out and grease them or anything. But I think it's actually in these controls right here, and they're soldered to the board, and I can't get the board out right now without, I probably could if I just keep extracting screws everywhere, but I don't want to go that far. There's a certain point where I want to like shut this down just so I'm not losing pieces, and there's quite a lot of screws so far that have come out of it. So what I'm going to do is clean up what I can in here and put it back together, and just kind of hope that it works better. Which in theory it should. Cleaning it's not a bad idea, but there's a lot of gunk and crap in here. It took a lot longer than I expected, but everything's nice and bright on it, and not just one, but both speakers are working now. Boy, you can't say that this doesn't look literally like brand new now. I'm hoping that it's a little more UV resistant. I don't know how much recorded earlier when I sprayed this, so I don't think there's any footage of it because my phone's screwed up. But yeah, it literally all looks like brand new. I wish I knew this before I painted it, but there's these little shanks that kind of stab into the plastic to put these hooks in, and they're a real pain in the ass to get in when it's freshly painted. But I got those 3 in off the old one, and then these clips were already in here. And then this is on here, which then the screws go up through here. This looks all bent on this, but when I get in there, I'll figure it out. As for right now, it looks like brand new, so all I can do now is install it and see what happens. Well, I was going to film installing all this, but this is clearly the wrong tombstone for this car. It's obviously from an NB or some kind of later model. So I ended up cutting a few things and just sticking it on there for now. From afar, it looks fine because the bottom half fits perfectly. It's just from the top of the climate control, it's different. And then this is longer here on the NA one. It's shorter, whatever it is. So it hangs over the dash right now. Spent like a good chunk of money on this for what it is. Like the car was not worth anything, and now the center console is worth probably one of the most expensive things on the car right now. It does look half decent now. I put this crappy shifter that I got for free on it because I wanted to try it, but I think I'm gonna hate it. So I'll probably go back to the stock one. But the center console and everything looks a lot better, at least being painted. It really annoys me, the huge gap and the fact that that doesn't fit at all. But at least going down the road, it should be okay. It really isn't clipped into anything at the top. The radio started acting up a little bit again. Still 1,000 times better than it was. So, but nothing's more of a piss off than spending like 2 hours screwing around trying to install the wrong part. So it's in there. It looks better than a whole. That's the best it's gonna get right now. Yank the seats out of it. That was the easiest set of seats I've ever yanked. Convertible is awesome for taking apart the interior, that's for sure. So I'm gonna vacuum all this, and then I'm probably gonna fabric dye all the faded, like underneath all this is faded, but all the faded carpet I'm gonna fabric dye. Might even shoot some of this with it. I wanna dye the seats black again, but it really comes down to how much paint I have and how much time I have for it to dry, because I hate how faded they are. But obviously this interior sat in the sun for a long time, and I'm really lucky that the dashboard's in good shape. It'd be nice to have the interior in decent shape. So that's what I'm gonna do now, is kind of tear into this a little bit, clean it all up, start putting things back. The cover off, you can see how much more faded this actually is. I don't know if it comes, I assume it comes off. But yeah, there's some clips there. But I might just put the top up, spray all that, put the top back down. Like, I'm not going for perfect here, just not blue. Because eventually, when it gets like that, it starts like flaking away. And then you end up with no carpet at all. So right now, I'm just gonna vacuum it and move on from there. It actually pretty much looks like brand new again. I need to put this back on, but it should technically get a second coat up here maybe, but here in the shade it looks brand new. And that was just one can. And then I did the driver's seat a bit, and then tried to do the passenger a bit. It's all blotchy because I ran out. I knew that I was probably going to, because that's a lot for a can. But yeah, no, it's the best it's been in a long time, I'm sure. Now I'm gonna throw the seats back in it, throw the top back on it, jack it up, start the oil change finally. Oh yeah, pull the center console back out because it was just made sense since the carpet goes up through there. So I'll throw that back together too. There we have it, interior's back together. Seats need another coat, but that's not all faded to crap. Floor looks great. Center console looks all right for being completely wrong. The middle piece is good. I put the Mazda or the stock Mazda shifter back on because I hated that long one. Even without using it, I just hated it. And then we put the sun visors on. I meant to paint them, but I put them on yesterday, so eventually I'll dye them black too. And the rearview mirror's back on. It wasn't on when I got it. It's been a hot minute since I've done a backyard oil change, especially with the sketchy ramps. I haven't had those out in like 2 years. Definitely getting manifold leak, I think. Thinking that front one. Or it's that downpipe there. I don't know. I noticed that when I was fixing the heater core issue. So eventually, we'll probably get the manifold taken off of it, and new gaskets and the whole thing. But right now, that's the least of my worries. I'm gonna also check the plugs eventually, not right now. There's no sense in checking them when I can't afford to put plugs in it right now. And the next thing I want to do is change turn signal bulb, I think, because that one is white and that one is an amber. So yeah, oil change is done. Plus it has a hesitation sometimes, like just a small one. So I really think that it's probably due for plugs or it's gunked up or something. Crap. But that's a bit of an issue that it has almost melted right through the housing. They were on there for like 2 days now. I drove all night with it on, but still, like, shouldn't do that. So that's fun. One other thing that was wrong with the interior was driver's side door handle or door wind handle. It's always been broken since we got it. And then I got my brother to 3D print one, which is pretty good, but I had to grind it down quite a lot to get the clip in there. It works really well. So I'm gonna eventually change the one over there just so they're both matching. This is pretty solid, so I assume it'll be all right. And even if it breaks, just print another one. There's a little screw inside of there, so just let it spin. So it actually, in my opinion, it's almost a little better than OEM. I decided since I got both of them, I'll switch them both out real quick. Left the little door washers out. It's meant to make it so it holds the door panel better around here, but it just sits better with the way that these are just slightly oversized. It's better to have them off, because if I keep them on, I could shave this down, but if I keep them on right now, it pushes the door card in there really far, then there's a big gap. I just like it better like this, so it'll be fine. But yeah, it looks a hell of a lot newer than everything else on the car. Picked up these like fake roll bar things. It actually makes the car a lot stiffer, but it's not really a roll cage at all. I just picked it up. It was 40 bucks. If I don't like it, I'll repost it on Marketplace. But for how easy it is to just put 2 bolts in here, like, why not? I don't know what this video is entailing, but once again, center console is out again. This is probably the 3rd or 4th total time. But I'm adding this cubby hole below it and the Kenwood deck, which don't know if I covered or not, but I ended up just giving up on the stock deck because it started acting up and was really annoying. So we've got this old school Kenwood in here now. And now on Amazon for $30, there's a new faceplate. So I'm going to fix all this. I don't know if it's all coating from the factory and nobody took the plastic off way back, or if it's just like some kind of coating that's just destroyed from the being in the sun. But it's baked on there really good, so I figured for $30 on Amazon, I'd try just changing it. I really hope I have the right one, because these were a total pain in the ass to get off. They're tiny little, very tiny little screws in the bottom of them. I was pulling on them because I've had some where they just slide on like so, but I haven't really, I think the Nissan had screws in it, but a lot of the newer cars that I've worked on, they've just popped off kind of. But got them off, got the faceplate off, got the radio in, got this little doubled in cubby hole thing that fits my cell phone perfectly in. The paint job on it's pretty crap, but you'll never even notice. I might put a piece of felt in here so it's not like thumping around and scratching it. I ended up putting the screws to mount the radio in and then putting that on top, because it was the only way I could get it to kind of sit flush with everything when the top's on. Even then, everything's really tight, but I think I can make it work. But I'm gonna switch out this panel right now. And here, there's the new one. I'm hoping that it's still kind of the same tinge of green and not a different tint than the rest, because it is just from Amazon. But it looks a lot better. Now this seems to double side tape to the light, so I gotta line that up, but shouldn't be too bad. Absolute pain that was getting these back out, but they're in. It's looking all right. Like, it looks new, that's for sure. So I'm gonna put the whole center console together. Hopefully everything fits with the cubby and everything just goes back together, but see what happens. Just like that, it's all back together. I still really don't like the NA Tombstone, but that looks way better for climate controls. By the looks of it, it's hard to tell in the daytime, but by the looks of it, it does look like the right green. And then all the climate controls, I didn't really change anything with that, but everything should still work just the same. It just looks way, way better than that old crusty one that's on the ground there. And then having the old school CD player, it's a nice touch. I like having it kind of period correct, as odd as it is. And then having room here where this perfectly fits our cell phones, even though the paint's bad at the back because I just like filled it with paint. But like I said, I'll probably put felt around it at some point. But yeah, that's a center console kind of put back together. Way better shape than what was there before. But yeah, I don't know what any of these videos are going to be. I don't know if there's going to be one long video or if there's going to be an interior video separate. I have no clue. But yeah, I'm just filming stuff and getting rid of this half-destroyed steering wheel that's pretty damn big. And I want a smaller steering wheel, no power steering. I want the steering wheel that's out of the EP3 actually. So I'm going to try to put the EP3 wheel on here and then just put a generic wheel on the EP3 for now. But this seems pretty easy, no airbags. It's a screwed or a 10mm bolt back here, and then 2 more 10mm bolts back here to get the airbag off. And it should just be one nut. And then you just put literally it was $20 on Amazon for a hub. And then I'm gonna put the NRG wheel and the NRG quick release from the Civic on the Miata for now. See if it works. I might have to screw around to get the horn to work, but I'm gonna try it and see what happens. Yeah, that was the easiest steering wheel removal I've ever done. 3 10mm screws, a 21, and then just smash on the wheel a couple times with your bare hands, and it'll come right off. Just like that. No more steering wheel. Sometimes these are broken or just generally have a different design on them. So I'm hoping that it's still good once I grease it up a little bit. The horn was working, so it should work in theory. But yeah. And then this one also has these 2 pieces for the clock spring. You don't want to knock that out too much. And basically there's 2 holes on the back of this the clock spring goes over. So in that way when you're using your turn signals, the turn signal stock knows where the wheel is. Because if that's off, then your turn signal will shut off prematurely or shut off way later, depending which way you're turning. But yeah, I'm just going to slide that on there, put the nut on it, basically just like that. But I'm going to go get grease first and grease that up with some dialect grease.